Rock and roll. Welcome to episode 3 of Note for Note. The topic today, the Kiss solo albums of 1978. It's one of the many subjects debated in the Kiss world, and one that will definitely start an argument when you claim which album is the best out of all four in the Kiss army. The Kiss solo albums came about because of problems within the band. Problems were occurring almost non-stop, as many of us know with Kiss's history. The varying personalities of the members and their choices of indulgences on and off the stage. The idea came about for everyone to be creative and step back from butting heads. It was thought that it would actually fix the cracks that were forming in the band if everybody had their own chance to be themselves. So since they couldn't get along as a band, why not give a solo shot to each member? If you know Kiss's history, it didn't save the band from lineup changes down the road, but that is a different topic for a different day. And so it began. Another piece of history, and on September 18th, 1978, the Kiss solo albums were released for the Kiss Army to grab. As we begin, I will be fair and say I won't rate the albums from least to greatest or best to worst. In my mind, Kiss can do no wrong. I know there are many who would like to correct that statement. Anyway, I feel the albums are best grouped in pairs as Kiss was when they traveled and shared hotels on the road. So if you don't know their history, Paul and Ace would usually bunk together, and Gene and Peter would bunk together, at least in the early days. Or as some would say, the glory days of Kiss. Whatever your choice is. The albums grouped in pairs can be compared and are almost similar in certain aspects. Right off the bat, I will disagree with anyone that claims Paul's album is a wash, as most think it sounds just like a Kiss album with him singing. I totally disagree. Although if you actually listen, you will notice there is Paul Stanley, the star child of Kiss, and Paul Stanley, the entertainer. Very big differences, and a talented man all around. When it comes down to it, Paul is more than Kiss, in my mind. And I believe he does well, very well, in any singing project, and puts his twist on them. Now, with that said, let us continue on to the top 4 tracks, as we do here on Note for Note. Of course, in no order and at random. And before I begin, I do believe that all 4 albums are solid from start to finish, with their own unique twist, and it is a challenge to just choose 4 songs off of each of them. And let's be honest, any Kiss fan will love all 4 because, after all, we must collect everything Kiss. No matter which member you like, you have to get all 4, the variant of whatever product, and so on. That's how it is. Alright, and now for the top 4 tracks off of each solo album, starting with Paul Stanley. My tracks are Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We Are Apart, Love in Chains, and Ain't Quite Right. My top 4 tracks for Ace Frehley's solo album: Rip It Out, New York Groove, Speedin' Back to My Baby, and Snowblind. As we continue, my top 4 tracks for Gene's solo album will be When You Wish Upon a Star. Yes, that is a cover of the Disney classic from Pinocchio, don't be confused. See You Tonight, Man of a Thousand Faces, and Mr. Make-Believe. And finally, my top 4 track picks for Peter's solo album: Rock Me Baby, You Matter to Me, I Can't Stop the Rain, and Hooked on Rock and Roll. Again, it was a tough choice deciding which 4 from each album. I would love to say all songs off of each album, but again, to challenge it for myself, 4 tracks only, note for note, that's how it goes. And as we continue on, you could really break it down as far as Paul and Ace having the most rock-driven albums, with Gene having a pop and Beatle-esque vibe to his sound. And as we all know, Peter reflects his jazz and swing music background. They all reflect a sign of the times, as you can note from the 70s sound, but to me, Peter's is the most diverse, and it really fits that 70s sound, the electric, the pop, while also showing Kiss fans how different his musical background was compared to the other members. To this day, many will associate a number of the songs from each album with each member as their own unique title track, almost their personal anthem. And now, as we move on, the artwork of the album is typical Kiss. Literally, it is the face of each band member on each cover, and it's highlighted with the color of their persona. A major bonus, as always with Kiss albums, and with most of their releases, were the goodies included in the album inserts themselves. That was the awesome part for a lot of people to collect. And for the solo albums, they included an album insert that was folded out to complete a poster of each member, and you can actually connect them, making a huge mural. And as we continue on for note for note, I always like to incorporate some trivia or some fun facts. So we continue on into our fun facts section of these albums, and we begin with the cool points on all of them as well. First, the ironic thing is the whole situation. Although they were listed as solo albums and promoted as such, the release of the albums as a whole, together on the same day, actually classified them as Kiss albums. All of the albums had great musicians helping Kiss out as well, and included a lot of the rock stars of the era. For starters, Paul's album featured great work and help from great artists such as Bob Kulick, Richie Fontana of Piper, and Carmine Appice. Ace's album went on to feature Anton Fig and Will Lee, who actually both went on to become the house band members of The Late Show with David Letterman, and of course, most notably produced by Eddie Kramer. Then we get to Gene. Again, Gene had a laundry list of people. Seriously, if you read the notes, he should have had a table of contents on his album insert. For starts, we have the awesome guitar player Richie Ranno of the awesome band Starz. He was featured along with Cher, who actually dated Gene during the 70s. And the list goes on to include Donna Summer, Joe Perry of Aerosmith, of course, Sean Delaney, the fifth member of Kiss. And if I continue listing everyone else, you would think we were putting together a telethon cast of stars. We get to Peter's album, and Peter was actually helped by such musicians as Art Munson, Neil Jason, and Elliot Randall. On a strange note that most will or will not notice, Peter's album is actually featured with a thanks to Vincent Price. Is it the Horror Master or somebody else? That's just another Kiss 3 mystery for Scooby-Doo and the gang to solve. And keeping with the horror theme, we can't forget the Lon Chaney tribute from Gene with Man of a Thousand Faces on his album. So much great help on all four of these albums. It's just amazing, the work that went into it and the dedication. I seriously would like to say a special thanks to everyone involved in making it all happen. And, make sure you look into everything mentioned and everyone mentioned, including their projects, because they've all had a great hand in music on their own as well as with their own bands throughout the years. And ironically enough, Paul's album was the only one that did not have a cover song on it. And if you use your skills to figure out those songs, it should be very obvious. Gene wasn't working for Disney at that time, or at all, I would think, when he recorded his version of When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. There is a great backstory on that, which we'll save for a later episode if you don't know it. But it's actually near and dear to Gene's heart, which is a reason why he covered that song on his album. All right, well, that will do it for 1978. That was the Kiss solo albums in a nutshell, pretty much. Kiss has changed over the years after that, and again, that will be discussed at another time because there is a ton to talk about. And when it comes to the subject of Kiss, Gene Simmons alone is at least a subject for multiple videos. He is a character indeed, and there's a lot of history for each member. Again, grab the albums, give them a listen. Want to hear what your thoughts are. And that'll do it for this week's episode of Note for Note. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, rock on.